Silas Ward hadn't spoken to another soul in 3 months. The broken rancher wanted nothing but solitude on his failing ranch, drowning his grief in whiskey and silence. Since Martha's death 2 winters ago, the ranch had become a hollow shell, too vast and quiet, filled with memories that cut deeper than any blade. Silas had taken to sleeping in the small room above the barn, unable to bear the main house where Martha's laughter once echoed. But on that cold morning, everything changed. A pounding on his door jolted him awake just after sunrise. Silas cursed, grabbing his rifle. No one visited the Ward ranch anymore, not since he'd driven off the last well-meaning neighbor with harsh words and a loaded gun. "Go away," he growled, his voice rough from disuse. The knocking stopped, footsteps retreated, and silence returned. Cautiously, he cracked the door, the icy air biting his face. His eyes swept the empty yard, then fell to a wicker basket at his feet. A baby, no more than 6 months old, wailed inside, wrapped in a faded blue blanket. Tiny fists waved in the cold, dark hair peeking from a knitted cap. Silas froze, his mind struggling to comprehend. His hands trembled as he picked up a note pinned to the blanket. "His name is Thomas Ward. He's yours now." The words made his blood run cold. He'd never seen this child before, never been with any woman but Martha. "This is a mistake," he muttered, but doubt crept into his voice. The baby's cries grew desperate, slicing through the morning stillness. Silas scanned the horizon, bare trees, distant mountains, no sign of whoever left the child. He carried the basket inside, the infant's wails echoing through the empty house, a sound so foreign it tightened his chest. Silas had never held a baby. Martha had dreamed of children, of filling their home with laughter, but the fever stole that dream along with her. "Stop crying," he said helplessly, setting the basket on the kitchen table. The baby's face was red, tears streaming down chubby cheeks. Silas was lost. What did babies need? Milk? Food? His pantry held only hardtack, beans, and coffee, nothing for an infant. The note offered no clues. The handwriting was feminine, careful, likely educated, but unfamiliar. The paper was cheap, common to the general store in town. The baby's cries weakened, and panic rose in Silas's throat. He couldn't let this child die, not if there was a chance the note was true. His old cow had dried up, and he'd sold his livestock to pay for Martha's medicine. The nearest cattle were at the Harrison Ranch, 5 miles east, but Silas had burned that bridge with a shotgun after Martha's funeral. Still, the baby's weakening whimpers forced his hand. He bundled the child in the blanket, the tiny body fragile in his arms. The baby's dark eyes opened briefly, piercing Silas with a gaze that cracked something inside him. As he prepared to saddle his horse, hoofbeats thundered across the property. Silas grabbed his rifle and peered out the window. 3 riders in dark coats approached fast, dust swirling like smoke. Nobody rode that hard unless they were chasing something, or someone. Instinctively, Silas clutched the baby closer, his finger hovering over the trigger. The riders stopped in his yard. The leader, in an expensive black coat, had cold eyes that scanned the ranch like a predator. "Morning," he called, his voice dripping with false warmth. "Name's Crawford. We're looking for something that wandered onto your land." Silas stepped onto the porch, rifle visible but not raised. The baby stirred against his chest, soft sounds loud in the tense silence. "Nothing here but me and my livestock," Silas said. Crawford's gaze locked on the bundle in Silas's arms, his fake smile vanishing. "That's a mighty young calf, Ward." The fact that this stranger knew his name sent ice through Silas's veins. "Don't know what you mean," he replied carefully. Crawford dismounted, hand on his gun. "We've come a long way for what you're holding. Make it easy, hand it over." The baby fussed, and Silas shifted protectively, an instinct he didn't understand taking hold. "Nothing here belongs to you," he said. Crawford's smile turned dangerous. That baby's carrying something valuable to my employer. Something worth more than your ranch. Silas's mind raced. Valuable? What could a baby carry? What kind of something, he asked. The kind that makes men ride across 3 territories, Crawford replied, stepping closer. The kind that makes babies dangerous to keep. Anger flared alongside Silas's fear. He'd wanted to be left alone, but these men threatened a helpless child on his land. Ride out, he warned, raising his rifle. Crawford backed toward his horse, his expression calculating. We'll be back, Ward. And we won't ask so polite next time. As the riders vanished over the ridge, Silas paced the kitchen, the baby growing weaker. The child's cries had faded to whimpers, scaring him more than Crawford's threats. He needed milk, but leaving risked another encounter, and staying meant watching the infant starve. Hoofbeats returned, and Silas braced for a fight, but it was Doc Sterling, the elderly physician who'd cared for Martha. Heard you might need help, Doc called, dismounting. Mrs. Harrison saw strangers asking about a baby in town. Word travels fast, Silas. Relief flooded him. The baby needs milk, he said. Doc examined the infant, his face serious. Malnourished, but not severely. Been cared for until recently. He studied Silas. You sure this was just left on your doorstep? Silas handed him the note. Says he's mine. I don't know how, but it doesn't feel like a mistake. Doc pulled a bottle of milk from his bag, showing Silas how to feed the baby with a cloth nipple. Thomas drank eagerly, color returning to his face. There's more, Doc said. Those men visited my office, asking about a woman who gave birth recently. Dark hair, green eyes, educated. Called her Mercy Whitmore. Said she stole something valuable and ran off with her baby. The name hit Silas like a blow. Mercy Whitmore. He knew it, but couldn't place it. You recognize it, Doc observed. Maybe, Silas said, the memory elusive. The baby stopped drinking, dark eyes meeting Silas's, and small details, the nose, the ears, felt eerily familiar. Doc, he whispered, this baby might be mine. Before Doc could respond, glass shattered at the front of the house. Silas handed Thomas to Doc and grabbed his rifle. Crawford's men were back, circling the house. Billy, the thin one, was at the back, the third man by the corral, cutting off escape. They're not asking nicely this time, Silas muttered. Crawford's voice boomed. Send out the baby, Ward, and we'll be on our way. Silas's rage surged. These men spoke of Thomas like property. Then, a memory surfaced. 2 years ago, a young woman named Mercy, dark-haired and green-eyed, had come to the ranch, lost. She'd stayed for dinner, talking with Martha about books. She'd slept in the barn during a storm and, the next morning, kissed Silas briefly before he pushed her away, loyal to Martha. But that moment lingered. Another shot splintered the doorframe. Then Billy's voice called from the back, found something, Crawford. Someone's been digging graves. Silas's heart stopped. Martha's grave was 50 yards from the house. These men would desecrate it to force his hand. Rage erupted. He kicked open the door, rifle raised. Touch that grave, and I'll kill you all, he roared. Crawford, behind a trough, smirked. What we want isn't the baby, Ward. It's what he's carrying. Doc, inside, found a leather pouch sewn into Thomas's coat. Silas opened it, revealing a deed to a Colorado silver mine, signed to Thomas Ward, witnessed by Mercy Whitmore, dated 9 months ago. She was pregnant when she signed this, Doc whispered. The timeline suggested Thomas could be Silas's son, or someone else's, named Ward for protection. Crawford called, you read it, didn't you? That deed's worth a fortune. Silas clutched the rifle, blood dripping from his wounded arm. Mercy's dead, Crawford continued. Caught her in Cedar Ridge. She whispered your name before she died. Grief and rage warred in Silas. Mercy had trusted him to protect her child. Hoofbeats thundered again. Marshal Kane and 3 deputies burst in, guns drawn. Crawford hesitated, and Silas tackled him, wrestling for his gun. The marshal's boot knocked Crawford unconscious. Mrs. Harrison sent word, Kane explained. Found Billy bleeding out back. Silas took Thomas from Doc, feeling the weight of responsibility settle. The deed could rebuild the ranch, but it was blood money. It belongs to its rightful owner, he told Kane, handing it over. Thomas doesn't need it. Kane nodded. And the boy? Silas looked at Thomas, seeing Martha's dream in his tiny face. He's my son, he said. This is his home. As the sun set, Silas stood on his porch, holding Thomas. The silence was gone, replaced by new life. For the first time since Martha's death, Silas felt hope. The broken rancher had found his purpose, and Thomas Ward had found his father.